Because here's the thing, optimization never ends. There will always be a new product promising to be better than the last. So, how much of that is actual science? And how much is just marketing? Hey, I'm Lyra. I like learning and contemplating about Christian faith and theology, cultural issues, and personal growth and awareness. If you want to journey with me in this messy yet beautiful existence, hit the subscribe button to get notified when I upload new videos. Um, in this video, I'm going to share my reasons behind my skincare content fatigue and the benefits I experienced from stepping away. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by the never ending advice and picture perfect standards, this is the right place for you. Let's chat about it. Back in 2020, I was binge watching skincare videos like it was my full time job. My goal to finally get my acne and my brother's acne under control. With everything so chaotic during the pandemic, I felt that skincare was one of the few things that I could control. Thanks to these videos, I was able to create an acne routine with affordable products that helped to control my brother's acne. Side note, I wrote an article about it on my website, blemishedyetredeemed.com. You can check it on the description box. So, for the first time, skincare became about making informed, research backed decisions rather than relying on anecdotal experiences and consumer reviews. Before, I was stuck in the cycle of trying countless products, hoping they're just going to deliver their claims and promises. But here's the twist, as helpful as skincare content was, over time it started wearing me down. That's why I stopped watching skincare content in the middle of 2024. Here's why. Reason number one, skincare non optimization anxiety. Almost every video introduces a new product or ingredient, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was missing out. So even when my routine was working, I wondered if trying something new and shiny could give me even better results. Take peptides, for example. A dermatologist I follow once said they were nothing special, but recently she's been praising peptides as a skincare game changer. It left me tempted to add peptides in my routine, but I held back. So, good thing I follow the Beauty Brains podcast hosted by Valerie George and Pierre Romanowski. They explain how skincare marketing often hypes up ingredients like peptides to sell products. Perry broke down that peptides aren't revolutionary, they're just humectants with a fancier story. That's when it hit me. I was caught up in what I call skincare, not optimization anxiety. It's the fear that my routine isn't good enough just because I'm not using the latest miracle ingredient or following the newest advice. So even when my skin is doing fine, I feel this nagging pull to tweak and optimize just in case I'm missing out. Thanks to the Beauty Brains podcast, I learned that skincare brands often take snippets of research, sometimes from small or inconclusive studies, and spin them into a grand marketing story, claims, and promises. It might sound impressive, but the science isn't always as solid as it seems. Now, I'm not dismissing peptides entirely. Research is still developing, and who knows? Future studies might provide more solid evidence that peptides can help with wrinkles and also with acne. But for now, I'm going to stick to the basics like cleansing, moisturizing, and applying sunscreen and using time tested ingredients like salicylic acid and retinoids. I've let go of this pressure to optimize every detail of my routine. Skincare doesn't have to be complicated. There will always be a new holy grail product or ingredient, but that doesn't mean that I have to jump on every trend. Because here's the thing, optimization never ends. There will always be a new product promising to be better than the last. So, how much of that is actual science? And how much is just marketing? Reason number two, SPF, sunscreen protection, fundamentalism. Let's talk sunscreen. Ever shared a relaxed take on SPF like it's okay not to reapply every 2 hours, only to get dogpiled? Suddenly, people start quoting their favorite skincare creators like they're the gospel, and what you've said was an SPF blasphemy. I get it, they mean well, but pressure to do sunscreen right actually started to take toll on me. I wasn't just careful about sun exposure. I became terrified of it. I became so anxious about sun exposure that it bordered on paranoia. I'm not blaming skincare creators for how I internalize their advice, but here's the thing, it's human nature to chase ideals. And when it comes to sunscreen, the ideal is crystal clear. SPF 50 plus, broad spectrum, applied generously, and reapplied every 2 hours. Never mind that finding a sunscreen that won't leave you looking like a greasy ghost is almost an impossible feat. And never mind how impractical it is to reapply every 2 hours, especially when you're juggling work, family, and everyday demands of life. And never mind the cost piling up, especially when you're applying and reapplying as recommended. At some point, I had to sit myself down and remind myself that I don't need to be perfectly sunscreened. I told myself, Lara, the sun is not the enemy. Without it, plants can photosynthesize, humans can produce vitamin D, and life as we know here on Earth would cease to exist. That shift in perspective was very liberating. The sun isn't out to get me, it's actually part of the natural order that makes things alive and flourishing. So let me be clear. I'm not suggesting we swing to the opposite extreme of the pendulum and disregard sun protection and forget about sunscreen. No, it's not what I mean. Sun protection is crucial. Sunscreen helps with maintaining healthy skin, and it prevents premature aging, and it helps preventing the risk of physically disfiguring and also life-threatening skin cancer. What I'm saying though is this. We need to stop making sunscreen an obsession, a form of control, or even a personality trait. Here's the thing, the reapply every 2 hours rule is great for people who are outdoors. They're active, they're sweating, they're swimming, but if you're like me, you're indoors almost the whole day, then reapplication isn't necessary. But if you are staying near the windows, then a midday reapplication is a good precaution. Now I approach SPF with balance. I reapply when it makes sense to the situation, and I don't regard the sun as my enemy anymore. Reason number 3, the trap of over-scrutiny. I've had acne since I was 15, so for years I scrutinized my face for every breakout. Most of my face would stay clear, but my chin was a breakout central. So before heading to work, when I was still teaching in the Philippines, I would train them and I would conceal them. And honestly, it's demoralizing. When I finally got my acne under control, life felt normal. If you've struggled with acne, you will understand where I'm coming from. It's not just that breakouts are physically painful, but it's also the mental toll, the way it seeps into your thoughts and fuels self-doubt and distorts how you see yourself. Cognitive distortions, these automatic negative thought patterns would just start creeping in and would paralyze me. I've written about this on my website, blemishedyetredeemed.com. You can find the link also in the description box. So here's the thing. The scrutiny didn't stop when I successfully managed my acne. I was actually pulled into another direction of self-scrutiny. I scrutinized my face for fine lines and wrinkles. And the thing is, when did aging well mean that you are looking like you're perpetually in your 20s? Sure, I'm Asian and people say that Asians tend to look younger than their age, but the skincare world is pushing a standard that even my genes will not be able to promise to meet. Take those fancy skincare devices, for example, the ones promising to sculpt your jawline and cheekbones. I won't lie, I was tempted to drop a few $100s just to future proof my face. But then I had to ask myself, how much of what I see online is actually from these gadgets? And how much comes from surgery, fillers, or filters? So yes, there's research behind things like red light therapy and microcurrent, but not all research is good research. I learned from the EcoWell podcast that just because a study exists doesn't mean it's solid evidence. I highly recommend checking out their podcast on what makes a good evidence, especially their first episode with Dr. Mara Evangelista Hubert, a Filipino dermatologist, dermapathologist, and clinical researcher. It's eye-opening. In a world full of science washing, we need to know which is solid evidence. So going back, at-home skincare devices made me hyper-aware of my fine lines and wrinkles. But after obsessing over acne for almost 15 years, I decided I'm not going to worry for the next years of my life, worrying on my wrinkles and sagging skin. When my wrinkles and sagging skin show up and become more prominent in my face, I want to be able to tell myself that, okay, Lyra, this is how you look like now. It's not a flaw to fix. It's a testament to a life well lived. Those are the 3 reasons for my skincare content fatigue, but full disclaimer, I'm not in 100% detox. I still follow 2 podcasts because who wants to live under a rock? Not me, certainly, especially for the skincare world. So those 2 podcasts are The Beauty Brains and The EcoWell. They're hosted by cosmetic chemists, which I appreciate for their insider knowledge on formulation and marketing. So they have insights based on actual industry experience. The Beauty Brains is listener supported. You can actually ask them questions, and if you're in their Patreon, they are going to prioritize your questions. They don't take sponsorships, so their takes are unfiltered and brand agnostic. The EcoWell, from what I know, does accept sponsorships, but they hold their sponsors accountable by asking them tough questions, like how their research was conducted, what methodology was used, and whether the sample size is big enough. That brings me to another issue about skincare content creation: the blurring of expertise. Creators not acknowledging the limits of their knowledge and not actually admitting that they are going out of their lane of expertise. So there's a common narrative online that dermatologists are the skincare experts. While they are undoubtedly experts in treating and diagnosing skin conditions, skincare itself isn't part of their formal training. So when dermatologists give skincare advice, it's often due to their personal interest or independent research, not professional specialization. The problem is that many content creators overstep their expertise and fail to acknowledge the limits of their knowledge. This in turn prevents consumers from seeking diverse, nuanced, and well contextualized perspectives on skincare. For example, a dermatologist should be upfront about not having specialized knowledge regarding cosmetic formulation and chemistry. Likewise, cosmetic chemists are not trained to diagnose and treat skin diseases. Estheticians and skincare nerds may lack the scientific background to fully analyze ingredient efficacy. Sure, anyone can Google skincare studies, but without expertise and research methodology and statistical analysis, we will fail reading, interpreting, and evaluating those studies if they're solid enough, if they're conclusive enough, if they're reliable enough. When these boundaries aren't acknowledged, misinformation spreads, confusion grows, and consumers are left making poor decisions in an already overwhelming skincare world. Perhaps you're wondering if there are any benefits to skincare content detox. Absolutely. First, a shift from skin aesthetics to skin health. Healthy skin isn't the same as poreless, glass skin. Once I internalized that, I began embracing my skin's natural texture and imperfections. It trained my mind to stop equating filtered skin with healthy skin. Second, skincare minimalism. When you're constantly exposed to skincare content, it's easy to believe you need every trending product or ingredient to optimize your skincare routine. But stepping back helped me realize I have everything I need in my routine. Instead of chasing new products, spending money on things I don't fully understand or haven't researched thoroughly, and cluttering my bathroom with half used bottles, I've learned that a simple, well thought out routine, consistent routine is enough. It has saved my money and, just as importantly, saved mental space. Third, skincare as true self care, not self punishment. I've learned to approach skincare with grace. It sounds ironic, but the truth is, I approach skincare as a form of self punishment. I get frustrated when my skin didn't cooperate, even calling it stupid for breaking out. especially after spending money on countless products that claim to clear acne. But I've come to understand that the skin anatomy is God's good design. It knows how to heal itself, and my role is not to fix it or to control it. My role is to support it in its natural functions. Too often, we approach skincare from a place of fear, self hate, self criticism, and comparison rather than grace. And sometimes we forget that the gospel of Christ doesn't just apply to our souls, but also apply to our bodies. Grace extends even to the way we care for our skin and our bodies as a whole. I no longer chase rigid standards of what good skincare routine and picture perfect skin looks like. I've learned to live with my skin in grace and in peace. What about you? Have you experienced skincare content fatigue? Has your skincare turned into skinscare? Are you considering skincare content detox? So let me know in the comments. And don't forget to check out the links to the articles and to the podcast. They are a treasure trove of knowledge and insights. You will enjoy them for sure. And see you in the next video. Grace and peace. Bye. I don't mean to confuse anyone, but the right way to pronounce this word is efficacy, not efficacy. Sorry, my bad.